You know the feeling, don't you? That electric jolt when Luke Skywalker stares out at the twin suns, yearning for something more. The chilling dread as Michael Corleone solidifies his power, leaving a trail of betrayal. The unsettling brilliance of a family conning their way into a lavish life, only for it all to unravel in parasite. Or perhaps it's the sheer adrenaline of Ripley facing the xenomorph, the heart-wrenching loss of Simba, the intricate dance of deception in Inception, or the quiet despair in a silent film from a century ago. These moments, these stories, they captivate us. They etch themselves into our mind, shaping our culture, defining generations. We binge them, we debate them, we rewatch them until we know every line. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? What invisible thread connects these disparate tales, spanning genres, continents, and centuries? What is the secret ingredient, the underlying code, that makes a story not just good, but truly unforgettable? For millennia, countless artists, writers, filmmakers, and playwrights have chased this elusive magic. They've experimented, failed, triumphed, and yet the fundamental blueprint for compelling narrative has remained remarkably consistent. And here's the kicker: that blueprint wasn't discovered last year or even last century. It wasn't born in a Hollywood writer's room or a modern literary workshop. The answer, incredibly, lies in a slim, ancient text penned over 2,300 years ago by a philosopher named Aristotle. Yes, the same Aristotle who taught Alexander the Great, who theorized about ethics, logic, and politics, also meticulously dissected the very essence of storytelling. His work, Poetics, is not merely a historical curiosity, it is a foundational guide, a startlingly modern analysis of what makes a story resonate, what makes a hero fall, what makes an audience feel deeply. It's the storytelling DNA, the universal operating system behind every narrative that has ever moved you. From Sophocles to Shakespeare, from Dickens to Spielberg, from ancient myths to today's streaming blockbusters, the principles Aristotle laid down are not just present, they are often precisely what makes these stories brilliant. In this series, we're going to peel back the layers of Poetics. We're going to unlock this ancient wisdom not as dusty academia, but as a vibrant, practical toolkit. Whether you're an aspiring writer grappling with plot, a filmmaker searching for depth, a game designer crafting immersive worlds, or simply a passionate viewer who wants to understand the magic behind the curtain, you're about to discover the secret formula that has powered legendary narratives for over 2 millennia. Get ready to see every story you love and every story you create through an entirely new, incredibly insightful lens. Let's decode the storytelling genius of Aristotle. Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm your host, and for as long as I can remember, stories have been the very fabric of my world. Not just consuming them, mind you, though I'm certainly guilty of binge-watching and devouring books late into the night. No, my real passion, my true calling, has always been understanding how stories work. The magic behind why some narratives grip us from the first word and never let go, while others simply fade away. Whether it's crafting a screenplay, outlining a novel, or even just telling a compelling anecdote at a dinner party, the art and science of storytelling is what truly makes me tick. It's what drives my curiosity, and frankly, it's what keeps me up at night, pondering the mechanics of narrative structure and character arcs. My journey has been one of constant exploration, seeking out wisdom from every corner to hone this craft that I love so much. So, you can imagine that on my quest for storytelling mastery, I eventually stumbled upon a name that looms large over the entire Western literary tradition: Aristotle, specifically his work, the Poetics. Now, I'll be completely honest with you. My initial reaction wasn't one of eager anticipation. It was, well, dread, intimidation, pure and simple. I pictured a dusty academic tome filled with obscure philosophical jargon and endless footnotes, written by a very serious, very dead Greek philosopher who probably never watched a Marvel movie or read a fantasy novel. I saw it as a relic, a formidable challenge reserved for scholars in tweed jackets, not for someone like me who just wanted to write a really good story. The very title seemed to whisper, "This is beyond you. This is for the academics, not the practitioners." It felt like a barrier, a requirement I knew I should tackle, but one that seemed utterly impenetrable and utterly disconnected from the vibrant, living world of modern narratives I so adored. But then, something shifted. Call it stubbornness, call it a late-night research rabbit hole, but I finally decided to dive in. And what I found, beneath the ancient Greek terminology and the occasionally dense prose, wasn't an academic relic, but a surprisingly vibrant, shockingly practical guidebook. It wasn't just relevant, it felt revolutionary. It was like I had been given the secret blueprint to storytelling itself. Suddenly, Aristotle wasn't a stuffy philosopher, he was the ultimate story coach, offering timeless insights that transcended millennia. His principles on plot, character, spectacle, and thought weren't confined to ancient Greek tragedies. They were directly applicable to the blockbusters playing at the cinema, the hit TV shows captivating millions, the best-selling novels flying off the shelves, and even the most effective marketing campaigns designed to tell a product story. That aha moment hit me like a lightning bolt. This wasn't just history. This was the foundational grammar of storytelling. It was a masterclass in human psychology and narrative construction, as fresh and insightful today as it was over 2 millennia ago. I realized that everything I thought I knew about building compelling narratives, he had already articulated with stunning clarity, offering universal truths that govern how humans experience and process stories. And that, my friends, is why we are here. My mission with this series is to peel back those layers of intimidation, to dust off the Poetics and reveal its beating heart. We're going to transform Aristotle from that distant, imposing figure into the practical mentor I discovered him to be. This isn't going to be a dry academic lecture. Instead, we're going to explore his profound ideas, decode his terminology, and most importantly, show you exactly how his ancient wisdom can be applied to your modern storytelling endeavors, whether you're writing a screenplay, drafting a novel, crafting a short story, or even just trying to tell a more engaging tale in your everyday life. We're going to make these powerful, actionable insights accessible to everyone who loves stories, everyone who wants to tell them better. Together, we'll unlock the secrets of narrative that have resonated with audiences for thousands of years and equip you with tools that will elevate your craft. Are you ready to embark on this journey with me and discover the storyteller's secret weapon? Welcome to Chapter 1 of our journey into Aristotle's Poetics. This section, The Art of Imitation, Mimesis, a lens, not a mirror, introduces us to perhaps the most fundamental concept in Aristotle's understanding of art, mimesis. For many, the idea of art as imitation might sound reductive, even simplistic, as if artists merely copy what they see. But for Aristotle, mimesis is far richer, far more profound than mere mimicry. It's the very heart of how art reveals deeper truths about the human condition. At its core, Mimesis can be understood as art representing reality, not just duplicating it, but presenting it in a structured way to explore and illuminate universal human experiences. Think of it less as photocopying a document and more like translating a complex idea into a new language. The essence is retained, but it's presented in a way that allows for new understanding. Consider a portrait painter. A skilled artist doesn't just meticulously reproduce every pore, every wrinkle, every strand of hair exactly as they appear in a photograph. While literal accuracy can be a component, the truly great portraitist strives to capture something more profound: the subject's essence, their character, their spirit. They might emphasize certain features, use color and light in particular ways, or even subtly alter proportions to convey an inner truth about the person. The resulting painting isn't a mirror image, it's a lens through which we perceive the individual's soul, revealing aspects that a simple, literal copy might miss entirely. Aristotle extends this idea beyond visual arts to stories, particularly tragedy and epic poetry, which for him are imitations of action. Now, action here doesn't just mean physical movement. It encompasses the entirety of human endeavor, the choices we make, the decisions we struggle with, the motivations that drive us, and crucially, the consequences that inevitably follow. A story, whether it's the downfall of a king or the moral dilemma of an ordinary person, imitates the unfolding of human experience, showing us how character shapes destiny, how intentions collide with reality, and how individuals navigate the complex web of cause and effect. This brings us to why we, as an audience, feel so deeply for fictional characters, despite knowing they aren't real. When we witness Oedipus grapple with his terrible fate, or Antigone make her impossible choice, we're not just observing, we're engaging with reflections of our own potential actions, our own moral quandaries, our own fears and aspirations. The artistic imitation of action allows us to experience these profound human dilemmas from a safe distance, to ponder the universal implications of courage, cowardice, love, betrayal, justice, and revenge, without having to live through the actual events ourselves. We see our own potential reflected in their struggles, and through their journey, we gain insight into what it means to be human. So, when Aristotle speaks of mimesis, he's not advocating for superficial realism. He's describing a powerful artistic process that selects, structures, and refines elements of reality to reveal universal patterns and truths. Art, through mimesis, provides us with a focused, intensified version of life, stripping away the trivial to highlight the significant. It's a lens that clarifies, magnifies, and illuminates, enabling us to see the world and ourselves within it with greater clarity and understanding. It transforms mere observation into profound insight. Welcome back. In Chapter 1, we laid the groundwork for understanding the foundational principles of great storytelling. Now, in Chapter 2, we dive into the very fabric of narrative itself, guided by Aristotle's brilliant framework. He didn't just analyze plays, he gave us a practical toolkit, a storyteller's checklist that remains incredibly relevant today, thousands of years later. Aristotle identified 6 core components of any story elements that, when understood and skillfully employed, elevate a narrative from mere events to a powerful, resonant experience. Let's deconstruct them, using a modern masterpiece like Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight as our illustrative canvas. First up, and arguably the most crucial, is plot or mythos, as Aristotle called it. This isn't just a sequence of events, it's the arrangement of incidents, the causal chain that drives the narrative forward. Think of it as the blueprint, the very structure of the story. In The Dark Knight, the plot meticulously builds Batman's struggle against the mob, the emergence of the Joker, Harvey Dent's rise, and his tragic fall. Every incident is tightly woven, leading to an inevitable, yet surprising conclusion. It's the engine of the story. Next, we have character or ethos. These are the agents of the plot, the individuals who perform the actions. For Aristotle, characters must be good, appropriate, consistent, and realistic. Consider Batman, a figure driven by his moral code but deeply flawed, or the Joker, a force of pure chaos utterly consistent in his nihilism. Their choices and transformations are what make the plot meaningful. Third is thought dianoia. This refers to the underlying themes, the arguments, the moral reasoning, and the worldview expressed by the characters and the story as a whole. It's the intellectual core. The Dark Knight grapples with profound questions. Can chaos ever truly defeat order? Does a hero have to become a villain to save society? These are the ideas the film explores, often through the characters' dialogues and dilemmas. Following that, we have diction lexis. This is the language of the story, the words chosen by the characters, the style of the dialogue. It's how the characters express their thoughts and personalities. Think of the Joker's chilling monologue, full of twisted logic and dark humor, or Batman's terse, authoritative pronouncements. The precise wording elevates their impact and defines their personas. Fifth is song melos. In ancient Greek tragedy, this literally meant the choral odes and music. For modern storytelling, we can interpret it as the musical score, the sound design, the auditory atmosphere. Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard's iconic score for The Dark Knight isn't just background noise, it intensifies suspense, highlights emotional beats, and gives the film its epic scale. The percussive tension when the Joker is on screen, the soaring themes of heroism, these are all vital elements of the song of the film. Finally, we have spectacle-opsis. This refers to the visual elements, the sets, costumes, lighting, special effects. It's what the audience sees. The Dark Knight is rich in spectacle, the meticulously designed bat suit, the grimy, realistic Gotham City, the jaw-dropping practical effects, the epic car chases, the exploding hospital. While often dazzling, Aristotle viewed spectacle as the least important element, arguing that a strong plot and character should be able to move an audience even without elaborate visual flair. Now, it's crucial to understand Aristotle's hierarchy here. While all 6 elements are vital, he crowned plot as the soul of tragedy. He believed that without a well-constructed, compelling plot, even the most brilliant characters, profound themes, or stunning visuals would fall flat. It's the plot that orchestrates the emotions, that takes us on a journey, that provides catharsis. The other elements serve the plot, giving it body and expression, but the plot is the living, breathing essence. And this brings us to the ultimate takeaway. These 6 elements are not isolated islands. They are interconnected, interdependent gears in a magnificent clockwork mechanism. For a story to truly resonate, to achieve that unified emotional impact Aristotle so highly valued, they must work in harmony. The plot dictates the actions which reveal the characters. The characters express thoughts through diction. The spectacle and song amplify the emotional journey. When these elements align, they create a complete, immersive experience that transcends mere entertainment and delves into profound human truth. Aristotle's checklist isn't just for critics. It's a powerful guide for anyone aspiring to tell a story that truly moves. Welcome back to our journey through Aristotle's Poetics, where we're uncovering the timeless secrets of storytelling. In our last chapter, we touched upon the integral components of tragedy, but now we're diving deep into the very heart of what makes a story pulse with life: the plot. For Aristotle, plot isn't just a sequence of events, it is, quite emphatically, the soul of tragedy. This chapter, Plot is King, the inevitable chain of events, will illuminate why. Aristotle insists that a compelling plot must be a whole. What does he mean by whole? He means it must possess a clear beginning, a discernible middle, and a definitive end. But these aren't merely temporal markers, like the start and finish lines of a race. They are logical anchors in a carefully constructed narrative. A beginning is something that doesn't necessarily follow from anything else, but from which something else naturally follows. Think of it as the initial push, the inciting incident that sets everything in motion. The middle, then, is that which naturally follows from the beginning, and from which something else, in turn, naturally follows. It's the bulk of the journey, the unfolding drama, the rising action. And finally, the end is that which naturally follows from what has gone before, but after which nothing else is required to follow. It's the resolution, the conclusion, the final resting place of the narrative arc. Without any one of these, the story feels incomplete, aimless, or unresolved. Crucially, for Aristotle, this sequence isn't just about events happening, and then this happened, and then that happened. No, it's about events happening because this happened because of that. This distinction is paramount. True dramatic power stems from causality, from the inevitable chain of events where each occurrence is a logical consequence of the one preceding it. When we witness events unfolding causally, we don't just observe, we understand, we anticipate, and we feel the weight of necessity. The audience is drawn in, asking not just what next, but why next. This creates a sense of inevitability that makes the story feel both realistic and profoundly impactful. To truly grasp this concept, let's turn to a universally beloved narrative, Disney's The Lion King. Its plot is a masterclass in Aristotelian causality. The story begins with the presentation of Simba, establishing the royal lineage and Scar's simmering jealousy. This isn't just a random event, it's the genesis of the central conflict. The middle unfurls with devastating precision. Scar orchestrates Mufasa's death because he covets the throne. Simba flees because he's manipulated into believing he caused his father's demise, consumed by guilt. The Pride Lands subsequently suffer and fall into ruin because Scar is an unfit and tyrannical ruler. Simba grows up in exile, blissfully unaware, because he believes his past is behind him. Each major turning point in the middle is not merely an and then, it is a direct, undeniable because of what has come before. These causally linked events build the tension, deepen the character arcs, and create the dramatic momentum that propels the story forward. The end arrives when Simba returns, having learned his true identity and duty, because the Pride Lands are suffering and he must reclaim his rightful place. He confronts Scar, defeats him, and restores balance, bringing the narrative to a satisfying and inevitable conclusion that directly resolves the initial conflict. Every beat, every character's choice, every twist of fate is interlinked by this powerful logic of cause and effect. Now, imagine a weaker, episodic plot. What if Simba had simply wandered off one day, and then found Timon and Pumbaa, and then, years later, decided on a whim to return, only to find Scar had mysteriously disappeared? While technically a story, It would lack the emotional resonance and dramatic urgency of The Lion King. We wouldn't feel the weight of Simba's guilt, the tragedy of Mufasa's death, or the triumph of Simba's return with the same intensity. An episodic plot, devoid of strong causal links, feels disjointed, arbitrary, and fails to engage us on a deeper level. Events just happen, they don't feel necessary or inevitable. The impact is shallow, like watching a series of disconnected vignettes rather than a coherent, living narrative. Aristotle teaches us that the mastery of plot lies in weaving an intricate tapestry where every thread connects, where every moment is a logical outgrowth of another. It's not just about what happens, but why it happens and how those events forge an inevitable chain leading from the beginning through the middle to a satisfying and meaningful end. When a storyteller understands that plot is king and causality is its law, they unlock the true potential for profound and enduring human experience within their narrative, where we delve into one of Aristotle's most enduring and impactful contributions to our understanding of storytelling, the tragic hero. It might seem counterintuitive, but the figures we remember most vividly, the ones who resonate deepest within us, are often those with profound imperfections. We root for them, we lament their fall, precisely because they are in many ways just like us, flawed, striving, and prone to monumental mistakes. Aristotle posited that the ideal tragic hero is a character of high standing, perhaps a king, a general, or a person of great influence within their society. Crucially, they are neither perfectly virtuous nor utterly villainous. If they were flawless, their suffering would feel undeserved and alienating. If they were purely evil, their downfall would simply be gratifying, not tragic. Instead, the tragic hero occupies that compelling middle ground, a good person, fundamentally, whose misfortune comes not from pure wickedness, but from a specific failing. And it's this specific failing that leads us to the heart of the tragic hero, their hamartia. Often mistranslated simply as a fatal flaw, hamartia is far more nuanced. It isn't necessarily a moral defect or a vice, but rather a crucial mistake, an error in judgment, or a miscalculation. This error often arises from ignorance, a blind spot, or an overabundance of a generally positive trait, say hubris, an unwavering loyalty, or ambition spiraling out of control. It's a moment where a character, through their own actions, sets in motion a chain of events leading inevitably to their undoing, often unaware of their initial step's true magnitude. Think of modern tragic figures like Walter White from Breaking Bad or Michael Corleone from The Godfather. Walter White begins as a mild-mannered high school chemistry teacher, diagnosed with cancer, whose initial motivation is to secure his family's financial future. His hamartia isn't that he's a villain, it's his hubris, addiction to power, and repeated errors in judgment that twist noble intentions into a monstrous empire. He makes choices, believing them for the greater good, that lead him down an irreversible path to destruction, taking his humanity with him. Similarly, Michael Corleone, initially resistant to the family business, makes errors in judgment born of a fierce desire to protect his family and legitimize operations that gradually transform him from an idealistic war hero into a cold, isolated crime lord. His loyalty and intelligence, initially strengths, become the very tools of his self-destruction. We witness their gradual corruption and descent, devastating us because we see glimpses of the good person they once were or could have been. This is precisely why the downfall of a flawed, relatable character is more emotionally powerful than the demise of a purely evil villain. When a one-dimensional antagonist meets their end, we feel satisfaction. But with a tragic hero, we experience catharsis, a purging of emotions, specifically pity and fear. Pity, because we see a character who, despite their errors, suffers immensely. Fear, because we recognize a part of ourselves in their struggles. We understand how easily a single, seemingly innocuous decision or unchecked ambition could lead us down a similar, destructive path. Their story serves as a profound warning, a reflection of the human condition, and a testament to the fragile line between virtue and ruin. Aristotle's tragic hero, with their fatal error in judgment, compels us not because they are perfect, but because they are tragically, profoundly human. They remind us that the greatest stories are often found not in the triumphs of the faultless, but in the heart-wrenching struggles of the flawed. The journey into the heart of Aristotle's Poetics brings us to a crucial element, the emotional goal of tragedy. For Aristotle, a truly great story isn't just a series of events, it's a meticulously crafted emotional experience designed to move the audience in very specific ways, culminating in what he called catharsis. He identifies two key emotions that a tragedy should evoke: pity and fear. Pity for Aristotle is felt for the hero's undeserved suffering. We witness a person, often noble and good, brought low by a tragic flaw or by circumstances beyond their control. Our hearts ache for their downfall, their misfortune, recognizing the injustice of their fate. This isn't just simple sympathy. It's a deep empathy for a character whose pain, in many ways, feels disproportionate to their moral failing. Alongside pity, Aristotle asserts that a tragedy must evoke fear. This isn't fear for the characters in the same way we might fear a monster in a horror film. Rather, it's a profound, chilling fear for ourselves when we see the heroes suffer, especially when their downfall stems from a universal human frailty or an unpredictable turn of fate. We are prompted to consider that we, too, are susceptible to such misfortunes. The hero's plight becomes a mirror, reflecting the fragility of our own existence and the potential for suffering that lies dormant within every life. We realize, with a shiver, this could happen to me. These two powerful emotions, pity and fear, are not ends in themselves, but rather the essential ingredients that build towards Aristotle's most famous and often debated concept, catharsis. Catharsis is often translated as a purification, a cleansing, or a healthy emotional purge. After experiencing the intense buildup of pity and fear as the tragedy unfolds, the catharsis is the release. It's not just a simple emotional outburst, it's a deeper, more profound experience that leaves the audience feeling refreshed, enlightened, and emotionally clarified. It's like a storm that clears the air, leaving behind a sense of calm and a new, clearer perspective. The intense emotional energy generated by the play is discharged not in a destructive way, but in a manner that restores balance and provides insight. To truly grasp this, think about the ending of a powerful drama like Titanic. As the ship sinks, as Jack makes his ultimate sacrifice for Rose, and as she clutches his hand one last time before he slips into the icy depths, the audience is often overcome. Tears flow freely. There's a profound sadness, yes, but also a feeling of immense emotional release. It's not just sorrow, it's a complex blend of grief, admiration for their love, and a visceral understanding of life's preciousness. When the credits roll, despite the tragedy, many feel a strange sense of peace, even uplifted, having processed such intense emotions. That, right there, is catharsis at work. This helps us answer a common question: why do we enjoy sad movies? Why do we voluntarily seek out stories that make us weep or fill us with dread. It's precisely for this cleansing experience, this catharsis, that they provide. Tragedies offer a safe, controlled environment to confront the deepest, most uncomfortable aspects of the human condition: suffering, loss, injustice, and death. By engaging with these powerful emotions through the narrative, we are allowed to process our own anxieties, fears, and sorrows vicariously. We can mourn, we can reflect, and ultimately, we can emerge feeling lighter, more understanding, and perhaps even more resilient, having purged ourselves of pent-up emotional tensions. This journey through pity, fear, and ultimate catharsis is, for Aristotle, the very essence of tragedy's profound and enduring power. Welcome back to our journey through Aristotle's Poetics. In this chapter, we delve into what Aristotle considered the most potent forces in crafting a compelling plot: the twin engines of peripeteia and anagnorisis. These are the devices that elevate a good story to an unforgettable experience, creating moments of profound shock and deep satisfaction. First, let's unpack peripeteia, a Greek term often translated as reversal. Aristotle defines peripeteia as a sudden and dramatic reversal of fortune or circumstance for a character or a situation. It's not merely a change, it's a turn from one state of affairs to its exact opposite, often unexpectedly, and always with significant consequences. Imagine a king at the height of his power, suddenly exiled and destitute, or a protagonist believing they've achieved victory only for events to conspire against them, plunging them into utter defeat. The essence of peripeteia is its suddenness and its decisive shift, shaking the very foundation of what was previously understood or expected. It's the moment when the wind changes direction entirely, forcing the ship to alter its course drastically or even capsize. This is the source of much of the plot's tension and the audience's visceral reaction. Hand in hand with peripeteia, and often intertwined with it, is anagnorisis, or recognition. Anagnorisis describes a critical shift from ignorance to knowledge for a character. This isn't just learning a new fact, it's a profound discovery that alters their understanding of themselves, others, or the true nature of their situation. It's the moment a hero realizes the villain is their long-lost sibling, or when a character understands the true meaning behind a prophecy they've been trying to fulfill. The recognition can be of identity, of intent, of a moral truth, or a past event previously unknown. It peels back layers of delusion or misunderstanding, revealing a deeper, often more complex reality. This newfound knowledge isn't trivial, it's fundamental, changing their perspective, their motivations, and often their destiny. Now, while powerful on their own, the true genius, according to Aristotle, lies in their combination. The most effective and memorable stories skillfully weave peripeteia and anagnorisis together, often occurring simultaneously or in very close succession. This synergistic effect magnifies their impact, creating a tapestry of cause and consequence that grips the audience. The reversal becomes more meaningful when it's accompanied by a revelation, and the recognition hits harder when it brings about a sudden change in circumstances. Consider the modern cinematic masterpiece, The Sixth Sense. The film builds steadily, presenting us with a seemingly straightforward premise. Then, in its climactic moments, we experience both a profound peripeteia and a shattering anagnorisis. The audience experiences a complete reversal of their understanding of the protagonist's entire journey up to that point. What we thought was happening is suddenly revealed to be entirely different. Simultaneously, the protagonist himself undergoes an anagnorisis, recognizing his true state, a truth that had been hidden from him and from us until that very moment. This dual revelation creates an indelible impact, making the film's ending one of the most talked about in cinematic history. The shock of the reversal is made deeply satisfying by the sudden clarity of recognition. These twin engines, peripeteia and anagnorises, are what transform a merely good plot, a sequence of events, however engaging, into an unforgettable one. They are the gears that drive the emotional core of the narrative, moving beyond simple action to profound meaning. They don't just tell us what happens, they make us feel what happens and understand why it matters. By creating these moments of sudden, dramatic change and crucial, often painful discovery, Aristotle shows us how to craft stories that resonate deeply, leaving an audience not just entertained, but truly moved and enlightened. It is through these meticulously constructed moments of reversal and recognition that art imitates life in its most dramatic and revealing forms, demonstrating the timeless power of storytelling to create both shock and satisfaction. Welcome back as we delve deeper into Aristotle's timeless insights. Today, in Chapter 7, we're tackling a concept central to dramatic excellence: the profound difference between simple and complex plots, and how the latter truly masters the art of the inevitable. Aristotle, in his Poetics, doesn't just describe what a plot is, he delineates its quality. He presents two fundamental types, simple and complex. A simple plot, in Aristotle's terms, is a narrative that moves from one state of fortune to another, say, from good to bad, or vice versa, but without the intervention of what he calls reversal or recognition. Think of it as a straightforward progression. Events unfold logically, cause leading to effect, and while there might be conflict and resolution, there aren't any major, unexpected turns that fundamentally alter the entire trajectory or understanding of the story. The change of fortune happens, but it doesn't spring from a sudden, ironic twist of fate or a profound discovery. It's a clear, linear path, perhaps predictable in its broader strokes, even if the specific details are new. Now, contrast this with the true masterpiece of storytelling, the complex plot. This is where Aristotle's genius truly shines. A complex plot, he argues, is one whose change of fortune is brought about by, or accompanied by, reversal and or recognition. These aren't just minor detours, they are the very engines of the climax, profoundly reshaping the narrative. Reversal, or peripeteia, is a sudden change by which the action veers round to its opposite. Critically, this change is not arbitrary. It must be in the probable or necessary sequence of events. Imagine a character's action intended to produce one effect, which ironically brings about its exact opposite. It's a moment where expectations are dramatically overturned. Recognition, or anagnorises, is a change from ignorance to knowledge. This is a discovery, often concerning identity, kinship, or the true nature of a situation, by persons destined for good or ill fortune. It's the aha moment where a hidden truth is revealed, illuminating past events in an entirely new light and propelling the story towards its conclusion. Why does Aristotle elevate the complex plot as superior? Because it creates an unparalleled sense of satisfaction, what we might call thrilling inevitability. When a story masterfully employs reversal and recognition, the ending, while initially surprising and often deeply moving, feels utterly inescapable in retrospect. It feels earned. The unfolding events lead so logically, yet so unexpectedly, to their conclusion that once the truth is revealed, you realize it couldn't have ended any other way. This isn't just about a plot twist. It's about a narrative structure where the climax isn't merely an outcome, but a profound revelation of underlying truths deeply rooted in the story's fabric. Let's illustrate this with an example. Consider a generic, simple action film. The hero faces a clear antagonist, battles through various obstacles, and ultimately defeats them, saving the day. There's a change of fortune. The hero goes from being in danger to triumphant. But often, there's no profound reversal where the hero's own actions ironically turn against them in a surprising way, or a deep recognition that fundamentally alters our understanding of the hero's identity or the villain's motivations. The ending, while exciting, often feels predictable. The hero was always going to win. The satisfaction comes from the spectacle and the journey, but not necessarily from a profound intellectual or emotional revelation about the story's core. Now let's look at a complex thriller like Rian Johnson's Knives Out. The film begins with the apparent suicide of a wealthy patriarch, Harlan Thrami, and the subsequent investigation. Initially, the audience, and indeed the characters, are led down certain paths. However, as the brilliant detective Benoit Blanc delves deeper, we experience a series of profound reversals. What seems like a clear-cut case of foul play quickly becomes a morally ambiguous situation, then shifts again. For instance, the supposed suicide is first presented one way, then through the character Marta's actions, the initial understanding of events is completely upended multiple times, leading to revelations about Harlan's will and the true nature of the crime. The entire understanding of who is culpable and what their motivations are continuously flips. Coupled with these reversals are powerful moments of recognition. Marta, the nurse, gradually pieces together the true sequence of events, recognizing critical details she initially overlooked or misunderstood. The identity of the true villain, or rather, the true orchestrator of events, isn't just revealed, it's recognized through a mosaic of previously unseen connections and newly illuminated facts. When the climax arrives and the actual culprit and method are unveiled, it's genuinely surprising. Yet, upon reflection, all the clues were there, woven meticulously into the narrative. The ending feels not just surprising but undeniably right, an inevitable conclusion born from the complex interplay of character, circumstance, and those crucial reversals and recognitions. This is the power of the complex plot. It doesn't just tell a story, it unravels a truth, engaging the audience intellectually and emotionally, leaving them with that profound, satisfying feeling that the story could not have ended any other way. It's the art of making the surprising feel inevitable, and in doing so, elevating mere narrative to true dramatic art. Welcome back to our journey through Aristotle's Poetics. In our last discussion, we explored character or ethos, understanding what makes a character inherently good, appropriate, real, and consistent. Today, we delve into Chapter 8, where Aristotle introduces two more vital elements for bringing characters, and indeed the entire story, to life: thought and diction. This is where we understand not just who a character is, but what they believe and how they express it. Let's begin with thought. For Aristotle, thought isn't just a character's internal monologue, it encompasses their reasoning, their arguments, their ability to persuade, to explain, to debate, and to make declarations. It's the intellectual content of their speech, the underlying themes and philosophical perspectives that drive the narrative. Thought is revealed primarily through dialogue, especially in those pivotal moments where characters articulate their worldview, make a crucial decision, or engage in a battle of wits. It's the why behind their actions, the core of their convictions. To see thought in action, Consider one of the most famous monologues in cinematic history, Peter Finch's electrifying performance as Howard Beale in the film Network. When Beale, a deranged news anchor, bellows, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore," it's more than just an outburst of anger. It's a crystallization of the film's profound societal critique. His words, though delivered with raw emotion, articulate a deeply felt frustration with the modern world, a yearning for authenticity amidst a sea of manufactured reality. He taps into a collective unconsciousness, giving voice to the audience's own anxieties. This monologue isn't just character development, it's the very essence of the film's thought, its intellectual and thematic core, communicated with searing clarity and impact. It compels us to consider the state of our own lives and society. Now, if thought is what is said, diction is how it's said. Aristotle defines diction as the expression of meaning in words. This refers to the specific language, the vocabulary, the rhythm, the cadence, and the overall style a character uses. It's their unique voice, and it's a powerful tool for revealing their background, education, personality, and even their emotional state. Diction is the brushstroke that adds nuance and texture to a character's identity, allowing us to distinguish them instantly from others. To truly grasp the power of diction, let's imagine the stark contrast between two literary worlds. Think of a character from a Jane Austen novel, perhaps Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. Her diction is precise, formal, witty, and often employs complex sentence structures. Her language reflects her intelligence, her social standing, and the refined, often indirect, communication prevalent in Regency-era society. Her words are carefully chosen, often laced with irony, revealing a mind that thinks before it speaks and values decorum even in defiance. Now pivot to a character from a Quentin Tarantino film, say, Jules Winfield from Pulp Fiction. His diction is raw, colloquial, often profane, and utterly unapologetic. It's infused with streetwise slang, pop culture references, and a rhythmic, almost poetic cadence that is both menacing and darkly philosophical. The sentences might be shorter, punchier, but no less impactful. This diction instantly places him in a different social and cultural context, conveying a sense of immediate, often dangerous, reality that is a world apart from Austen's drawing rooms. The difference isn't just in the words themselves, but in their arrangement, their rhythm, their very texture. Austen's characters speak with an elegance that reflects intellectual sparring and societal norms. Tarantino's characters speak with a gritty realism that reflects their lived experiences and the immediate, often violent, world they inhabit. Both styles are perfectly suited to their respective narratives, creating characters that are authentic and memorable within their own universes. Ultimately, thought and diction are inextricably linked. The profound insights of a character thought gain their full power and resonance through the specific way they are expressed. Diction. A brilliant idea, poorly articulated, loses its impact, just as eloquent speech without substance rings hollow. It is the masterful blending of a character's internal reasoning and beliefs with their unique linguistic style that truly brings them to life, making them believable, engaging, and unforgettable. As we move forward, keep these two elements in mind. They are the tools by which authors craft not just words on a page, but living, breathing individuals who populate our imaginations and reflect the complexities of the human condition. Welcome back, truth seekers, as we embark on Chapter 9, Poet vs. Historian: Why Fiction is Truer Than Fact. This title might sound heretical to some, a challenge to the very foundation of what we consider knowledge. But trust me, Aristotle, ever the profound observer of human nature and art, makes a compelling case that will redefine how you view storytelling. Aristotle drops a bombshell in his Poetics, one that has resonated through centuries of literary and philosophical thought. He argues that poetry, by which he means all imaginative storytelling, is more philosophical and serious than history. Now, that's a bold claim, isn't it? Especially coming from a mind so dedicated to empirical observation and logical deduction. Here's his core distinction. History tells us what has happened. It's a factual account of specific events, individuals, and circumstances. What was. The Peloponnesian War, the life of Socrates, the building of the pyramids, these are historical facts. Poetry, on the other hand, tells us what might happen, what is probable or necessary according to universal laws of cause and effect, human nature, and logic. It deals not with the particular, but with the universal. Think about that for a moment. History presents a singular instance. Fiction presents a pattern. When a historian recounts a battle, they detail the specific movements, commanders, and outcomes of that one battle. When a poet crafts a tragedy, they explore universal themes of courage, betrayal, ambition, or fate that could apply to countless battles, countless lives. And this, Aristotle contends, is why stories access deeper truths about the human condition than a mere recitation of facts ever could. Facts are often disparate, specific data points. A narrative, a poem, a play, these connect those dots, showing us the underlying mechanics of human behavior, the consequences of certain actions, the recurring dilemmas that plague or uplift humanity across time and culture. It reveals the why and the how of our existence, not just the what. It provides insight into the enduring aspects of the human spirit, the predictable reactions to certain pressures, the universal patterns of rise and fall. Consider a modern example, the acclaimed historical drama Chernobyl. This series meticulously reconstructs the devastating nuclear disaster and its aftermath. Yet, it's not a documentary. It uses fictionalized dialogue, composite characters, dramatic pacing, and emotional arcs, all the tools of storytelling. Why? Because a simple factual report, a dry recitation of dates, technical failures, and casualty numbers, while accurate, wouldn't convey the profound universal truths that the show successfully illuminates. Chernobyl uses its fictionalized techniques to explore universal truths about hubris, the corrupting influence of power, institutional denial, the immense sacrifices made for truth, and the incredible, often terrifying, resilience of humanity in the face of an existential threat. The specific events of Chernobyl become a powerful vehicle for understanding broader human failings and triumphs. The emotional impact isn't just about what did happen to those specific people. It's about what could happen to any of us and what our reactions might be given similar circumstances. It's an exploration of human nature itself, refracted through a historical lens. So, for those of you engaged in creative work, writing, filmmaking, painting, even just crafting a compelling narrative for a presentation, take heart from Aristotle. See your own creative pursuits not merely as invention or entertainment, but as a profound pursuit of these universal truths. You are not just telling a story, you are unveiling a piece of the human soul, exploring the probabilities of existence, and revealing something essential about what it means to be human. Your fiction, whether a grand epic or a personal tale, has the potential to be truer than any collection of isolated facts, because it speaks to the fundamental what if of our shared humanity. Welcome back to our journey through Aristotle's Poetics. We've explored plot, character, thought, and diction, but now, in Chapter 10, we arrive at perhaps the most crucial synthesis of them, all the unity of plot, no wasted moves. This isn't just a guideline, it's a fundamental principle for crafting truly impactful stories. Aristotle, ever the keen observer of nature, understood that a well-constructed plot, like a living organism, must have an inherent unity. Think of a human body, for instance. Every organ, every muscle, every bone serves a specific, vital purpose. You wouldn't find an extraneous liver or a misplaced elbow just floating around doing nothing. If you remove a key part, the organism suffers or even dies. Similarly, in a perfectly unified plot, every single element, every scene, every character, every line of dialogue, every seemingly minor detail must contribute to the story's ultimate purpose, its beginning, middle, and end. If a part can be removed without affecting the whole, then it shouldn't be there at all. It's superfluous, it's dead weight. This ancient wisdom finds a strikingly modern echo in the concept famously articulated by Anton Chekhov, known as Chekhov's gun. Chekhov insisted that if a rifle is shown on stage in the first act, it absolutely must be fired by the third. And, conversely, if it's not going to be fired, then it shouldn't be there in the first place. This isn't about literal firearms, of course, but about the profound principle of narrative economy. Don't introduce elements that don't pay off, and ensure that everything introduced serves a later, critical function. Aristotle would have nodded in agreement. It's the very essence of a tight, unified plot. Let's see this principle in action with a masterclass of cinematic storytelling, Robert Zemeckis' 1985 classic, Back to the Future. This film isn't just entertaining, it's a meticulously engineered machine of cause and effect, where nearly every early setup has a satisfying, often pivotal, later payoff. Consider the very opening of the film. We see Doc Brown's chaotic lab filled with clocks ticking away, and Marty McFly arrives to find no one there. On Doc's desk, there's a flyer from the Save the Clock Tower Committee, lamenting that the town clock hasn't worked since it was struck by lightning at precisely 10:04 p.m. on November 12, 1955. At first glance, it's just local color, a bit of background detail. But by the film's climax, that seemingly innocuous flyer becomes Marty's only hope, his desperate plan to harness that exact lightning strike at that precise moment to power the DeLorean and get back to his own time. The setup, delivered with such casual ease, becomes the linchpin of the entire resolution. No wasted move. Think about other seemingly small details. Doc Brown complaining about the lack of plutonium? That's not just character quirk. It immediately sets up the need for an alternative power source, which becomes the lightning bolt, and also foreshadows the Libyan terrorists who tragically interrupt his initial experiment. Marty's parents, George and Lorraine, are depicted as somewhat timid and unfulfilled in 1985. This isn't just character backstory, it establishes the core stakes of Marty's mission to ensure they fall in love and become the confident people he vaguely remembers, thereby ensuring his own existence and changing his family's future for the better. Even the exact time of the lightning strike, 10:04 p.m., is crucial. The precision emphasizes the challenge and the narrow window for success. Every single beat, every glance, every line is a piece of the intricate puzzle. This economy of storytelling isn't just for blockbuster films, it's a powerful tool for any creator. Whether you're writing a novel, a short story, a screenplay, or even structuring a business presentation, The challenge remains the same: is every element you introduce serving the central purpose? Does every character have a role to play? Does every line of dialogue advance the plot or reveal character in a meaningful way? Can you remove anything without diminishing the whole? As you develop your own ideas, consciously ask yourself these questions. Practice the art of integration, of weaving every thread into a unified tapestry. This isn't about being rigid, but about being deliberate, about respecting your audience's time and attention. Give them a story where nothing is superfluous, where every part matters, and where the payoff for every setup feels earned and inevitable. Embrace the Aristotelian ideal of the unified plot, and your stories will not just be told. They will resonate with purpose and power. All right, theory is wonderful, but true mastery comes from application. It's time to bridge the gap between understanding Aristotle's Poetics and actively applying its timeless wisdom to the stories you consume and, more importantly, the stories you create. Welcome to your 7-day Aristotle action plan from viewer to story master. This isn't just about watching, it's about seeing, analyzing, and ultimately building. Let's begin with day 1 and 2, deconstructing your favorites. Pick a film you adore, one you know intimately. Your mission is to re-watch it with a specific lens, our 6 elements checklist. As you watch, actively identify each component. Where is the plot, the sequence of events? How are the characters revealed through their actions and dialogue? What are the underlying thoughts or themes the film explores? Pay attention to the diction, the specific language choices and rhetorical devices. Listen for the song or melody. This includes not just musical scores, but the rhythm and cadence of the dialogue itself. And finally, consider the spectacle, the visual components, the setting, the costumes, the staging. Don't just tick boxes. Ask yourself how each element contributes to the whole. This exercise will fundamentally change how you perceive narrative construction. Moving on to day 3 and 4, mapping the narrative arc. Choose an episode from a television series you enjoy, preferably one that tells a relatively self-contained story within the episode itself. Your task here is to meticulously map its plot. First, pinpoint the inciting incident, that crucial event that kicks off the main conflict and sets the protagonist's journey in motion. Next, identify the midpoint, the moment where the story often takes an unexpected turn, raising the stakes or shifting the protagonist's approach. Finally, locate the resolution, how the conflict is ultimately resolved, for better or worse. As you do this, constantly ask yourself, is the plot causal? Does one event logically and necessarily lead to the next, building toward an inevitable, yet surprising outcome, just as Aristotle prescribed? Are there any events that feel disconnected or arbitrary? By day 5, we're diving deep into character. Now, focus on the protagonist of the film or TV episode you've already analyzed. What is their hamartia? This isn't simply a flaw, but a specific error in judgment or a tragic mistake that ultimately contributes to their downfall or the central conflict. It's often rooted in their character, perhaps an excess of a virtue or a specific blind spot. And where, if anywhere, is their moment of recognition? This is the point where the protagonist moves from ignorance to knowledge, often realizing the truth about themselves, another character, or the circumstances of their situation. This is that powerful moment of aha, or tragic understanding. How does this recognition, if present, impact the resolution of their story? Finally, for days 6 and 7, become the creator. After a week of rigorous analysis, it's time to put your newfound Aristotelian understanding into practice. Your challenge is to write a one-paragraph story outline. This isn't a full story, just a concise blueprint. Ensure it incorporates a clear beginning where you introduce your character and their initial situation, a distinct middle where the central conflict arises and develops, and a compelling end where the conflict resolves. Crucially, within this outline, include a simple reversal. This could be a sudden change of fortune for your protagonist, or an unexpected turn of events that shifts their path. It doesn't need to be complex, just demonstrate that you can orchestrate a meaningful shift in your narrative. This exercise forces you to think structurally, causally, and with an eye for dramatic impact. Commit to this plan, and I guarantee you'll not only deepen your appreciation for the stories you encounter, but also sharpen your own storytelling instincts. You'll move beyond being a passive receiver of narratives to an active, discerning story master, armed with the timeless insights of Aristotle. The stage is set. Your journey begins now. So, we've journeyed deep into the timeless wisdom of Aristotle's Poetics, unraveling the threads of what makes a story truly resonate and endure across millennia. If you take nothing else from our exploration, if you want to distill this entire conversation into actionable, memorable insights, then commit these 3 foundational rules to heart. Think of them as Aristotle's ultimate gift to storytellers, your bedrock principles for crafting narratives that not only capture attention, but truly move the soul. First, and perhaps most foundational, structure is freedom. Don't mistake a robust framework for a creative cage. Aristotle showed us unequivocally that a strong, well-defined plot, with its clear beginning, a compelling middle, and a definitive, satisfying end, isn't a limitation. Quite the opposite. It is the very skeleton that gives your story its shape, its strength, and its unwavering direction. It's the invisible architecture that allows your narrative to soar, ensuring every scene, every beat, serves a purposeful role, building momentum and propelling the audience forward. This structure anchors your imagined world, giving your characters a stage upon which to perform and your themes a powerful voice that resonates with clarity. Second, embrace the imperfect, for flaws are fascinating. We connect not with flawless ideals, with characters who glide effortlessly through life without a single misstep, but with the rich, complicated tapestry of the human experience. Aristotle understood this deeply. The most compelling characters, he taught, are not perfect. Instead, they are profoundly human, defined by their imperfections, their struggles, and their often relatable mistakes. It is precisely these flaws, moments of hubris, misjudgment, moral complexity, or tragic error that drive the story forward. They create the essential conflict, generate dramatic tension, and provide the fertile ground for transformation, revelation, and the profound identification your audience craves. Perfect characters are static, flawed ones are dynamic, breathing genuine life into your narrative. And finally, the ultimate goal, the very reason we tell stories at all, emotion is the point. Storytelling, for Aristotle, was never merely about a sequence of logical events, nor was it solely about clever twists or intricate world building. It is, at its core, a profound, shared experience. A truly great story doesn't just entertain, it takes the audience on a powerful, often transformative, emotional journey, one that cleanses, clarifies, and ultimately delivers that unforgettable cathartic release. It's about evoking pity and fear, yes, but more broadly, it's about sparking empathy, fostering understanding, and leaving the audience feeling transformed, enriched, and more attuned to the intricate nuances of the human condition. It's about feeling, truly feeling, and experiencing a narrative that imprints itself on your memory. These 3 rules, distilled from the wisdom of millennia ago, remain as vital and potent today as they were in ancient Greece. They are not merely academic concepts to be studied in dusty tomes. They are practical, living tools, waiting for you to pick them up and wield them. Apply them to your writing, your films, your games, your presentations, to any narrative you wish to craft, and you won't just tell a story. You will create an experience that moves, resonates, and endures. This is the timeless, enduring legacy of Aristotle's Poetics. We've journeyed through the profound insights of Aristotle's Poetics, unearthing the very DNA of compelling storytelling, a blueprint that has guided creators for millennia and continues to shape the narratives we cherish today. From understanding the essence of plot and character, to the cathartic power of tragedy and the vital role of thought and diction, we've only scratched the surface of how deeply this ancient text resonates with modern creative endeavors. But learning is best when shared, and creation thrives in community. We've explored these concepts together, and now I want to hear your voice, to invite your unique perspective into our ongoing conversation. In the comments section below, tell me, what movie do you believe perfectly embodies Aristotle's Poetics in action? Is it a modern blockbuster with a meticulously structured plot, an indie gem that masterfully elicits catharsis, or a timeless classic whose characters feel utterly inevitable? I'm genuinely excited to read your interpretations, discover new examples through your eyes, and spark a vibrant discussion amongst fellow story enthusiasts and aspiring creators. Your insights not only enrich your own understanding, but also illuminate new pathways for everyone here, helping us all deepen our appreciation for the art of story. If this deep dive into the foundational principles of narrative resonated with you, if you found new clarity, fresh perspective, or renewed inspiration for your own creative work, please show your support by hitting that like button. It's a simple gesture that helps us immensely, signaling to others that this journey into the architecture of story is worth taking. And if you're passionate about understanding the craft behind every great narrative, if you want to continue unearthing the timeless principles that make stories sing, then subscribe to this channel. Join our growing community of curious minds dedicated to mastering the ancient art and modern application of storytelling. We have many more explorations planned, from further dives into classical texts to examinations of contemporary narrative techniques, and you won't want to miss them. To continue your individual journey beyond this video, to truly internalize these concepts and make them your own, I've curated some essential resources for you. In the description below, you'll find a direct link to a highly recommended translation of Aristotle's Poetics, a version that balances academic rigor with accessibility, allowing you to delve directly into the source material and uncover even more layers of its wisdom. You'll also find links to other valuable tools, supplementary readings, and perhaps even some creative prompts that can propel your understanding and creative practice to new heights. These aren't just academic texts, they are blueprints for creation, waiting for your hands and mind to shape them into something extraordinary. Remember, understanding the Poetics isn't merely about analyzing past masterpieces, it's profoundly about empowering you to create the next. It's about recognizing the universal human need for narrative, the inherent power of a well-told tale, and your own unique ability to fulfill it. Every great story begins with an idea, a character, a plot, and most importantly, it begins with you. So, take these ancient principles, meld them with your unique vision, and bring your world to life. The stage is set, the characters await, and the audience is ready. Now, go tell your story.